Hello everyone again. I'm going to be going over a occultist based witch that uses curses and minions. I'm going to start off with the ascendancies, and these are pretty much staples of any curse build. This one's really cool. You can explode mobs with a 40% chance that are cursed, which is really cool, very strong. It's going to be really nice in 3.20 as well. This is very nice, a nice chaos resist. So all these are extremely good. There really isn't a weak ascendancy that you could take if you're going to be curse based with minions. This for 3.19 and 3.20, it's looking like it's going to be better for pinnacle bosses. And now let's jump down here. We got corruption, which increases the effect of withered, which in turn increases the damage of chaos. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Then the mastery is the same. Now we jump to the clusters right here. Like my last build that I did, if you watched it, I focus on misery everlasting for clusters, and that is used for despair. And in this build, it's teamed up with punishment, but I didn't go for punishment, to be honest with you, because punishment is such a what word am I looking for? It's not always used. It's scarce. It's very scarce when you're using it, because it only works at the end of mobs' lives or bosses' lives. I believe it's 35% when it kicks in, but when it does, it's extremely a lot of damage. So misery everlasting for despair, and as always, I like using the veteran's awareness. It's definitely like my favorite jewel. So let's go down here. We got some crit damage, Yeah, like I chose this cluster because it was cheaper, and I really didn't care for the other skills that you could get with it, or passive skills. So I chose this one. It was much cheaper, and it worked just fine. This build is really good for killing maps, and we'll see how good it is in 3.20 for bosses. And we got sovereignty. I'm sure a lot of people use this ability as well. We got the sacrifice, increase the minion's life and increase the regeneration. This is to keep the minions alive, of course. Then we have +1 Spectres, raise zombies, skeletons. And right here, raise zombies again, +1. You want to have as many zombies as possible when you're trying to do DPS with them. Self-explanatory, I hope. Then my Forbidden Flame is Unnatural Strength, and I believe the Unnatural Strength is Unholy Might. Yes, it is. And as you can see, a lot of damage coming from that. A lot of damage. So this right here is just a bunch of health nodes, armor nodes, DPS node for, this is probably the best minion tree DPS node in the game. Grave Pack, double damage, increased minion rating. Extremely good, extremely good. Now, this right here might not be exactly what you want, but you could always go for evasion as armor and like take iron reflexes too. I know this build doesn't have it, but you could easily switch it out to actually have iron reflexes and remove the haste. So I would say it's up to you, haste or grace. But haste will definitely help you kill stuff faster. So It's your choice, survivability or DPS or damage. More health nodes. That's the cobalt, the forbidden flesh. We have the so spell suppression here. We got more mana reservation. I hacked that apart. Mana reservation. You got unwavering stance. I like taking this ability all the time. It's really good. I don't like to be stunned because a stun witch with only, what is it, 3,000 life is gonna die, and it's gonna die real fast. So being able to zip through there and not get hit or stunned by stuff helps a lot. Armor node with some more maximum resists. Let me see something really quick. Not bad. So this is another mana reservation ability. So that's the tree in a nutshell. As you can see, the damage is pretty good, but this damage is based off of nothing. So nothing is picked at this moment for the damage for anything in the game. And you could find that in PoB or Path of Building right here, enemy stats. And it says, is the enemy a boss? And it just says no. This is where you could see the different variances of your damage on different stuff in the game. It's got the standard boss, Guardian Pinnacle boss, and Uber Pinnacle boss. And of course, Uber Pinnacle boss is the best. Uber is a word that means, I believe it means strong or great. I believe it's a German word. Maybe someone could correct me on that, but I think it is. So if you look at it from here, not that great. It's pretty low, you know, but with the new changes coming for curses, apparently that curses are going to be more desirable and increase the damage and be more effective against pinnacle bosses. So this combined DPS for the Uber Pinnacle boss might be higher, so that's going to be really good. Well, you're using power charges and frenzy charges from the ape specters. I believe one's called the Chieftain, and I cannot remember the other one. I should. You have elusiveness, but you only use elusiveness once in a while. I only use it for bosses because withering increases the damage of chaos damage. Consecrated ground, that's from the flasks that I use. If you've been recently hit, you know. Feeding frenzy, you know, just enemies low life, by the way. If you take this away, your damage kind of drops quite a bit. Yeah, see, 400k, it's quite a bit. But hopefully the changes will be good and that won't be affected that much. Withering stacks is important. This is what increases the damage of your chaos. Intimidating shout, self-explanatory. Is enemy on consecrated ground? Yes. Alright, let's jump into skills. We got the raised zombie phantasmal, which you could use normal raised zombies, but phantasmal is, I believe, a bit more DPS. Well, let's see, look at that. Default. Oh, wow, they're practically the same, huh? No, they're not. So you get like about 60,000 more combined DPS with phantasmal, which is not a lot. So if your piggy bank is hurting, then you could definitely use the default raised zombie. Awakening, void manipulation, minion damage. You know, you don't need the awaken variants. I always say this in my videos, but you should be okay with just normal, with just the normal and not the awakened. But you definitely could do more with them. It'd be a lot easier. So, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So, alright. This has cost a lot right here. Like, you guys are probably looking at this and saying, what the hell? This is too expensive. But it should be really good at mapping and building your currency up so you can get the awakened versions. And this build takes beheaded to the maximum, which is really cool because it increases the melee strike range of your minions. So you have less chance of being hit by creatures, more survivability in a way most people wouldn't look at. So that's the weapon, the 6-link. I use a two-handed staff as my main weapon in almost all my builds. Now I'm going to jump to the body armor, the other 6-link, and this is the chest is designated for the curses. I'll get to it later, but there's an item that you use to where despair and punishment have no reservation. By the way, this item I think is going to be buku currency in the next expansion 3.20 if they keep it the way it is at the moment. And arrogance works great for it. You're not losing any health or anything, and you're getting a lot of damage from it. You know, you could also throw in awakening enhance or just enhance right here. It has some room to you know, become better, more DPS, more damage. But I'm hoping 3.20 is where it really shines. The rest of this stuff is just minions, and one of the other important things is in this build that you're going to have to focus on is Withering Step. Withering Step increases the damage of chaos, and your build does a lot of chaos, so any ability or skill or anything you could get that increases the damage of chaos is good. And that sums up the skill tree. Let's look at the items really quick. I use this staff all the time. Oh. I use this staff all the time. It's my favorite staff in the game. I personally enjoy having 2 6-links instead of having 1 6-link on my chest. I think it's just the way I like to play. It's more of like my thing. I'm sure other people do too, but I enjoy doing it like that. The crown, you want to have, this crown is pretty good. You could follow the stats for your character with this. Also, my builds are not made to be perfect. I use these builds while I'm playing. So when I show you a build, I'm saying that this build works for me and it can work for you. It'll just take you some time, but I'm not giving you something that I just created out of my head. I'm actually putting the work in and getting my hands dirty and making this build for you guys. And if you ever need any help with anything, you know, I'll be here. You could just send me a whisper or a message on YouTube, and you know, I'll try to answer it as quickly as possible. The brass dome, a lot of resists, a lot of armor, and you take no extra critical strikes. You could always switch this to a percentage-based poison hit chance and get more damage out of it, but you get a lot of damage from this build without it. But if you wanted to do that, you could. This item makes it to where all your damage you do is chaos damage, and it's pretty expensive. This one's pretty expensive. It's not that expensive. Going to be really expensive. And this is extremely cheap, and it's my favorite item in the game. What it does is it allows your pets to use your flasks. And I try to automate that ability too, so I don't have to like worry about it. So I make one of my flasks, where is it? Like one of my flasks will have the ability to kick it on without me having to use it. So like whenever the flask reaches full charges, it'll work. So you don't have to just sit there and constantly hit the space bar or whatever button you want to use it. But if you want to do it that way, you know, to be cleaner and more proficient, you could do that. So I'm using the Lion's Roar, Battle of Faith, and Verons. So, you know, there's really not much to these. It's pretty solid, you know, nothing spectacular about them. I wish they had more flasks in the game to choose from, but maybe we'll see some new ones in 3.20. That'd be cool, right? Remember, this item is going to be huge. If you could find this item in the league right now, going really cheap, I would scoop it up and I would sell it for a lot of money on standard league, because it's going to go skyrocket if they keep the changes they're saying they are. But we'll also have to see if the changes are as good as I hope they are. I have faith in GGG, I guess. Now the gems are, I went over the gems earlier, the cluster jewels, and they focus mostly on Misery Everlasting, which is for despair. And then you got a Watcher's Eye, I went over that as well. Intuitive Leap, which makes it easier to get charisma. So I went over all that. So that's about it, you know. And now I'm gonna go over what I think is really important for the build. I would say this item is really important because it allows you to get 2 curses without any penalty, and you can increase it like crazy damage. And in 3.20, it's possible that this is going to be huge. I'm really hoping that GGG doesn't drop the ball and they really go through with what they were saying. Well, of course I would. All my builds would be good if they did that, but I hope they do. Well, I guess that's all I have to say today about this build. It's one of my favorite. I hope you try it. I hope you enjoy it. Be safe and be careful.